I get to a point where I'm so sad when I see him at times. I think that he is one of the great, great players this game has ever seen. I love him to death. I think he's a phenomenal player, even better person than me anyway. CJ knows him a lot better. That was his teammate for years. I just want him out of Portland so bad.
In the NBA, we all know how hard it is to find a star that is loyal and who will stay the course when the going gets tough. Personally, I'd go as far to say that finding a star like this is one of the hardest things to do in all of basketball when you're building a team. Let's be real. There have only been so many stars in the modern NBA that have played the entirety of their career for one franchise. So when you find one that wants to, you generally want to reciprocate that feeling, especially when said superstar is the best player that your franchise has ever had play basketball for it. Damian Lillard has not only been one of the best players in the league, he's also been one of the most loyal in the entire NBA for quite a while now. And he hasn't really let us forget that.
For me, I think the loyalty part, that's just who I am. You know, I roll with who I roll with, and if I was to ever not get that loyalty in return, then I can live with that because I don't expect everybody to be me. But that's just how I feel about the situation.
Despite Dame's admirable loyalty over the years, as of late, something has been brewing on the Damian Lillard front in Portland, and that, honestly, has been long overdue. While the Blazers have made tons of small and maybe even medium-sized moves, that big one hasn't come yet. Now, don't get me wrong, guys. Generally, loyalty can be a very formidable trait, but let's be real. There are times where you can be loyal to a fault. I'm sure we've all had a situation that we wish that we left sooner, but we're attached to it in the name of loyalty. Guys, I have some shocking updates to bring you this video, but first, today's content is brought to you guys by PrizePicks, which is undeniably the best way to play daily fantasy in states such as Florida, California, Georgia, Texas, and more. Yes, guys, I know that the NBA season is over, but while we wait for its return, PrizePicks is coming in clutch. I've been using PrizePicks to become much more invested in baseball, and I've been having a blast. How can I pass up the opportunity to win money for watching a future GOAT strike somebody out? Guys, click the link in the description below or download the app today, and remember to use code COOP when you sign up, because when you do, you'll get your first deposit instantly doubled. Damian Lillard is one of the most exciting players in our sport. There aren't many players that have the range that this man does. In a game that has been hyper-focused on shooting, he's the ultimate spacer.
Chance to send the Thunder home. Lillard, long-range three, and it's good! At the buzzer! Damian Lillard! Are you kidding me?
Since Dame arrived in Portland back in 2012, in 11 years, the Portland Trail Blazers have only had a grand total of one All-Star play beside him, and that All-Star would play in their final All-Star game in 2015. I will never deny that my guy Aldridge was a beast, but Dame only had this guy for 3 seasons, and that alone is tragic in itself. Don't get me wrong, the Blazers have had some good teams, but as of late, they've struggled. After making the Western Conference Finals in 2019, they've only averaged 34 wins a season. That isn't exactly a great selling point for a 32-year-old superstar that has an appetite for winning. Perhaps this is why Damian Lillard has given the Portland Trail Blazers an ultimatum. On an interview with Showtime Sports, Dame said that, "I want to have an opportunity to win in Portland. We've got an opportunity, asset-wise, to build a team that can compete. If we can't do that, then it's a separate conversation we would have to have." This interview by Showtime Sports will be loaded with good stuff, including Damian Lillard commenting on where he would like to play basketball next.
Everybody keeps saying Damian Lillard is going to be traded to the Knicks. Damian Lillard's going to be traded to the Heat. Damian Lillard should be traded to the Celtics. Damian Lillard's going to be traded to the Nets. If one of those trades went through out of those teams, which one would you be like, that's not too bad?
Miami, obviously. is the obvious one, and Bam is my dog. Bam is my dog for real. But I mean, I think Miami the obvious one. Brooklyn is obvious one. Is another obvious one because Mikal Bridges is my dog too. So I mean, and both are capable.
So there are a few things here that can't be ignored. One of those things being that Damian Lillard would absolutely embrace a trade to the Miami Heat. He said that Bam Adebayo is his boy. That is music to my ears because Bam Adebayo also just so happens to be the perfect big to pair with Damian Lillard. He's a great passer and ball handler for a big. He's a talented rebounder, good in the pick and roll, while also tying it all together with his monstrous defense and versatility. A big three of Bam, Jimmy, and Dame would be lethal. To add to the fire for no reason at all, Dame also said that he wouldn't go to the Heat if they won a championship, and I mean, that didn't happen. On a serious note, Miami definitely has some assets that they should probably use if they want to leave no stone unturned with Jimmy still in his prime. It might just be me, but I think that Damian Lillard is exactly the type of star that the Miami Heat could use. Me saying that is pretty funny because I did just praise the Denver Nuggets for staying the course. But of course, every situation is unique. Anyways, unfortunately for Miami, Dame would address this trade speculation and do his best to suppress any fire.
I keep seeing this clip about Miami and all these other teams. And if y'all watch the whole interview, you'll see he asked me about specific teams, and I just answered the question. I think when people just answer questions honestly and just speak on stuff, y'all just take it and run with it, but I was just answering the question, bro. At the end of that same interview, he asked me, do you think you'll be in a Trailblazer uniform in October? And I said, yes, I do. Because I do think that. And as I've been saying for over a decade, that's what I want to do, what I want to do. So, man.
The more time that passes, the more it looks like the Blazers and Dame are content working together, and that those earlier reports about Portland trying to move their number 3 overall pick for a star are true. Literally, just a week ago, radio host Danny Meringue tweeted that he's heard that Dame has been actively recruiting free agents to Portland, which of course would be a little weird for a guy that was setting up for their exit. And Danny is right, that would be very weird. But I think that things are a little deeper than that, and I'll explain what I mean shortly. Mind you that we haven't only seen reports about that number 3 overall pick becoming available. We've also seen reports that Anthony Simons is available to be had, and that the Blazers are a team that is on the hunt for an elite wing. They want a guy like Jaylen Brown, Pascal Siakam, or Mikal Bridges. What does this mean for Jeremy Grant, who was excellent this season? Well, according to reports, the plan is to still re-sign him. It's pretty wild that all signs point to Dame and the Blazers trying to work things out. Meanwhile, Dame's former teammate is going on ESPN and saying things like this.
They're at a crossroad. If I was a betting man, I would say this is the last that we've seen of him there.
He literally prefaces this clip by saying that him and Dame had wine and sushi last week. Look, guys, here's where I stand on the Damian Lillard situation. I think that the Blazers will try to liquidate some assets in order to put the best team possible around him, but at the end of the day, the Blazers aren't going to force a deal and get ripped off, in large part because their young assets that they may potentially liquidate just so happen to be really good. The Blazers looking towards the future and getting a haul for Dame and their vets wouldn't exactly be the worst thing. Again, this team is picking 3rd overall in a very stacked draft class. If there was a draft to press the reset button in, this would not be a bad one. Again, I love the young talent in Portland. Simons averaged 21.2 points this past year on 44.7% from the field. He's only 24. If you don't think he's your future for whatever reason, trade him too and draft another guard. Shaedon Sharpe looks like he has face of the franchise potential. This guy has tier 1 explosiveness and has the ability to score from all 3 levels. In his last 12 games of his rookie season this year, he would average 21.2 points, 5.3 rebounds, and 3.7 assists. While the Blazers wanted to tank, this guy just wanted to hoop. Which, shout out to him for helping me win my fantasy league. Anyways, guys, look, the list goes on when it comes to talent in Portland. According to Draft Express, my thoughts on this situation aren't too far off, as reportedly, Portland will continue to explore trade opportunities until it is on the clock for this pick. But it seems that the team is pleased to select Miller or Henderson. I know how Pat is, and I'm going to say it anyways. This has to be music to Pat Riley's ears if these reports about Kyrie Irving are true. Reportedly, Kyrie Irving has some level of interest in joining the Miami Heat, but the Heat would prefer to go after Damian Lillard or Bradley Beal. To quote Miami Heat beat writer Winderman, "I do think that Kyrie wants to come here. I don't think that the Heat are going to be subservient to Kyrie's wishes. I find that much more of a long shot." Heat fans, would you rather trade it all for Damian Lillard, or would you rather just have to pay Kyrie? Now, I know that a lot of people are out on Kyrie, and I get that, but at least to me, depending on what would have to happen to make this whole thing work, Kai does not sound like the worst consolation prize for a team that was just in the finals. You know what? Let me not beat around the bush. If you aren't willing to give up any assets, he's worth the risk for your team. Again, that's a major if. And yes, guys, I know we have to break down that Bradley Beal situation very soon, as it seems like he's really interested in Miami. We also have to break down that absolutely wild Zion Williamson situation too. Guys, this offseason, we will not be missing a beat, so you'll want to make sure that you're subscribed to the channel with notifications on. In the comments below, let me know what you guys think of everything. Clicking the video on the screen right now is a great way to support my channel. I'm GetLikeCoop, bringing you guys the scoop until our next upload.